2020 is incredible, and I'll be sharing the details right after this. If you're new here and want to stay up to date with the latest tech, please hit subscribe followed by the bell. You can also keep up on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter by clicking the links in the description. So today we've got a huge amount of news to share about the upcoming iPad Air 2020. We've got news of a larger display, more connectivity, new hardware and features, and finally some news of the launch date. Before we get started though, please like the video if you're looking forward to the iPad Air 2020 and let me know in the comments what device you're watching this video on. So the first news of today are the upgrades on the iPad Air 2020, or the iPad Air 4 as some people are calling it. First of all, it looks like Apple will be ditching the lightning cable, and this is going to be in favour of USB Type-C for the iPad Air 2020. According to Mako Takara, sources in the know have said that the iPad Air 4 or iPad Air 2020 will have USB-C connectivity. Though a refreshed iPad mini will still stick with the lightning port, such a move would give the iPad Air more of a pro element in that it could connect to DSLR cameras and other accessories without needing a dongle. Mako Takara has also stated that the iPad Air 2020 is going to borrow a lot from the iPad Pro, as it's also coming with slimmer bezels and a larger display. Mako Takara and various other sources have stated that the iPad Air 2020 is coming with a 10.8-inch display, which sounds incredible. We also have new leaks from Love to Dream, who has been incredibly accurate in the past. He states that the new iPad Air is going to be using the mini LED screen, come with a full screen no-notch display, not Face ID but using Touch ID under the screen. Now while he has been accurate, this leak was given very early on, and my sources told me that he is right about the Touch ID, but it's not going to be using mini LED and it will in fact be using OLED. The mini LED displays are apparently being trialled, and if successful they'll appear in the next Pro. Touch ID under the display is to be included in the latest iPhone 12s, so it's quite likely that we'll see it in the iPad Air as well. Ming-Chi Kuo advises that the mass production of the Apple iPad Air 2020 should be starting in May, and that it's going to launch in the second half of 2020. Now things look to have been delayed due to the current outbreak, but the good news is we're not far off. We've also got a new tweet from Jon Prosser, who simply said iPhone 12 and new iPads in October. Now it's not clear whether this is the release date or the launch date. Many are expecting the iPhone 12 to launch in September, with the phones releasing in October and November, so it could just be that the launch is with the iPhone or it's launching in October. With things changing so much this year and online only launch events happening, it really is hard to predict from the previous launch patterns. Now Jon Prosser was also very accurate when it came to the previous iPhone SE leaks. Since then he has come out with a little bit of inaccurate info, but hopefully he is right on this one. Now of course, with the launch or release in October, it's not going to be long until we've got all the details confirmed by Apple. For those of you interested, we're going to run through the full specs and design of the Apple iPad Air now. The new Apple iPad Air is going to be called the iPad Air 2020 or the iPad Air 4. If their recent release of the SE is anything to go by, then I'm predicting the iPad Air 2020. It's going to have a 10.8-inch OLED display with a Full HD Plus resolution. It will of course keep a fairly conservative design, as it is aimed at the mid-range. It's going to have a full screen display, as there's going to be no notch and no Face ID. Reports are suggesting that there may not be a selfie camera at all, but it could also be that it's just squeezed